Yo, shout out to the Most High. It's always a high. See when our Lord say this. LD is also known Lawrence the One for another episode of I Need to Know. My special guest, introduce yourself.
Hey man, I'm Chuck Johnson.
Okay, get a little closer to the mic.
What's up?
What's up, Chuck Johnson?
Hey man, we here.
For sure, man.
What's poppin'?
I see you got on the black and gold hat. You know what I'm saying? The legendary SoulBeat colors. You know, talk a little bit about that. Expound on that.
I mean, you know, SoulBeat is a mainstay here for the Bay Area, or real ones that's been in the culture for long enough to remember it. But you know, a couple of years ago, I brought it back. You know, I just said, you know, I really didn't have a exact circumstance I wanted to do with it, but I knew I wanted to preserve that culture because it represented the main vein of our city.
You're right about that, man. It's crazy, though, because what I'm doing now, right, you one of the people that I kind of looked up to from a distance when you used to be, did you interview Nas or Jay-Z?
I interviewed Jay, and I was a part of the interview with Nas, but it was Rockefeller. Rockefeller interviewed Nas, and I was in the building. And I go with the Nas story. Basically, Nas said we had in the cut studios off of 38th and Mac and Foothill.
Okay.
And
get a little closer to the mic.
And so the bottom line was Nas came through, and it was dope because he didn't really know where he was, and so he came outside and walked down to the corner, and he was like, "Where I'm at?" And I was like, "Man, you on the Foothill Strip now, Nas." So it was just dope to watch those artists that are now legends. They would come through the Bay, and they would have to come through the SoulBeat.
Yeah, I remember that day. I remember that day. It was a Saturday. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He had a cane on and a chain. Because Nas was my favorite. Nas and Yuck Mouth. Shout out to Yuck Mouth. Yep. Nas and Yuck Mouth was two of my favorite rappers in the 90s.
For sure.
Coupled with Outkast and, of course, Snoop in the Dog Pound and Corrupt.
Right.
Like, I could listen to them. Oh, and Wu-Tang. I could listen to them stirred up in a pot all day long. Like, from 94 to 95, that was my mix. So, you know what I'm saying? To see Nas on there, that was real big to me.
For sure. Because, I mean, let's face it, in the town, we had that channel, but it was like we didn't realize that other people from other states and other places knew about it because it was just, you know, kind of our thing.
Yeah.
So when, like you said, Outkast to, you know, Goody Mob to, you know, Lauryn Hill and the Fugees to all of these artists, they would somehow have us on their radar as one of the top places that they got to go to when they, you know, doing their promotional runs for their albums.
That's dope. So, SoulBeat is an Oakland network. How far was the reach?
So it was different phases, but when it basically first started in 1978 with Mr. Chuck Johnson, it was basically like Oakland, Emeryville, and like Piedmont area. And then, you know, eventually he started doing like pre-recordings and eventually went to places like Detroit. He did some things in New York. You know, he even started doing things overseas once it actually was one of the first black-owned channels that was on the internet when the internet first started going. Okay,
for sure. So I'm about to ask you some SoulBeat trivia just real quick while we just chopping it up.
All right, I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know all of it, but I'm going to give it a shot. What's happening?
Tell me the SoulBeat channels that you can remember.
I remember just from growing up, it was channel 37.
Yep.
That was when, you know, you had the box that you slide it all the way to the far right, and that
was looked like an alarm clock.
Yeah, and it was the last channel on the box, and it was SoulBeat. Of course, it was channel 29, and I don't know. You got one on me?
I think 19.
19?
I think 19. I remember 37. I think it was 19 for a second, way back in the New Edition days.
All right, I'm about to go check that out, man.
Yeah.
Because ironically, I do have a book. It was like basically like an autobiography of Chuck Johnson's life on SoulBeat. So I'll definitely go check that out.
All right, so I want to dispel one of the rumors. Are you Chuck Johnson Jr.?
No.
Okay, how often do you get that?
In my life, it probably has been, I ain't exaggerating, hundreds if not thousands of times in a 20-some-odd year period. And, you know, it just to put the cliffhanger out here, even on this show, he has a whole son, and his name is Charles Edward Johnson. And me and him actually got a chance to talk recently, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to his son. He dope because, you know, he just realized that I grew up in the town, and I was a part of the culture of SoulBeat more more than just hip hop. It was just literally just being involved with SoulBeat, and so he appreciated that about me when I decided to keep it going. So shout out to him.
What was your relationship with Big Chuck Johnson?
Chuck was Chuck was cold because in one sense he was like military minded because he was in the military a lot, but then he was also dope because he understood entertainment. And then I think when he saw that, I respected him enough to do the internship, he started taking me serious. So Chuck was a lot of things for me. He was like an OG homie versus almost like a father figure. Because at that time I was just doing town shit. I was just, smoking weed, shooting dice with the homies who was grinding, getting at chicks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just doing regular town shit. But then, he said do an internship. So that means you had to be dedicated to something. You had to come in for, 4 or 5 hours and do what's called, at that time, grunt work. Shit that the homies right now be like, hell no, I ain't about to be lifting boxes or, or reorganizing shelves with all these videos and TV shows and all this shit that I had to learn to basically learn how television worked. So he had this unconventional way that he was teaching me about television, and you had to, you had to, humble yourself and do some things you thought you wouldn't do. And I did it for about a year, and he peeped that I was really into music and i.e., hip hop. And so he was like, well, shit, I done gave you all the aesthetics of what it takes to do video production. Now you do your thing with the culture, with the hip hop. And so it was kind of the rest was history.
So what year did you actually plant your flag in and start actually getting associated with SoulBeat?
Oh, man, that was like, and it's crazy. This is not to date today, but this is like between November, December of 1994.
94, okay.
94, man. Again, I was like 19.
Okay.
And Chuck just, started letting me just really be involved with SoulBeat because on one level, it was the spot on 38th and MacArthur, but then the spot we was at was actually downtown by the lake at the Bellevue Towers or something like that. And so we used to be on like the 24th floor, and he had 2 locations up in there, and I would just go up in there and learn how to edit, and he'd just give me game on what advertisement was about, and it just started taking me on these wild trips with him sometimes.
Yeah,
I end up in L.A. with Chuck somewhere, at an award show, or we'd be at a mansion in San Francisco or something like for a Michael Jackson movie. Album release party or something. Like, he just started bringing me around the industry.
So SoulBeat took you around the world a little bit.
I wouldn't say around the world, but it took me around the world in the entertainment world.
That's cool.
The entertainment world and even, I guess you would say business world and even politics.
Okay. Now, speaking of politics, now I want to talk about you in the politics. I mean, you done posted a few things. You done dropped some dissertations about violence and just the craziness and shenanigans being played in Oakland. Talk about your projection. What you trying to do with that?
It's just time for us to be real with this shit, that these youngsters are fatherless and it's a lawless environment, and it's going to take a certain amount of individuals that maybe have history and experience with the streets to give a shit about the streets and come back and be kind of, I guess you can say, thought leaders or even, street ambassadors, and really just start, establishing a communication with these youngsters. Because keep it real, the OGs who ain't tapped in, they can't do it. They ain't talking to the police. Some of the rappers, they got sometimes a cool message, but most time they perpetuating this shit. You know what I'm saying? And so who's going to really be the voice that youngsters will really pay attention to? And for me, it's the dudes that really came from it, that decided to become businessmen or do other things.
Well, you at that age, man, and I want to ask you this question. You know what I'm saying? Why you right here, Are things worse now than then in the 90s?
Fuck yeah. I don't know if it's the violent part is worse, because it was very violent in the 90s, but we kind of knew how to calm down, or we had certain people that could intervene. Like, certain things can be kind of cooled off. Now it's straight up lawless. You know what I'm saying? The youngsters ain't listening to their uncles, they ain't listening to the OGs, they ain't listening to nobody. They just clicking up and doing what they gonna do.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like there's a real need to kind of just hit it head on right now. You can't kind of just let it go away. It's not gonna go away. It's just keep growing. I mean, all this bipping they doing. The biggest thing I want to do is just put that out there that even in Oakland, we need to start being more prideful in Oakland and stop letting people come in here and tear up our shit. Because right now, according to the numbers, they say it's more people from outside of Oakland that come in Oakland and do the crimes or do the issues that we have to end up living with. So whether it's the side shows, whether it's the homelessness, whether it's the bipping, it's like Oakland is like that, Gotham City that everybody come through and tear the shit up and cut from.
Well, how do they even determine who's from where and causing the crime and stuff like that? Like if I got bipped 2 days ago, right? Nobody seen nothing. How could they determine if that person was from Oakland or Vallejo resident, so on and so forth?
They just going by the arrest account. You know what I'm saying? Those who get caught, they got to give up their information, and most people information be from somewhere else.
So I was at Hiro Day, and it was a police officer there, and they told me that police officers could do nothing about bipping. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, man. It's crazy because...
Get a little bit in the mic.
No, I was just going to say it's crazy because on one level, they can't do nothing because that's just the days and times, but even more so because I think we under some type of, federal compliance, there's an extra hands-off for our officers. And I think it's crazy that the criminals now know about these kind of laws and they take full advantage of them.
When you say a federal hands-off, what does that actually mean?
Well, what I mean by that is federal. It's no secret that we being reviewed on for the last maybe 10 years by the feds because of our already outstanding bad behavior in the police department.
So you mean the police officers is getting watched, so now they got to walk a tightrope where some of them can't even, so to speak, do their job, is what you're saying?
For sure.
Oh.
For sure.
So what's next?
Oh, man.
What's the solution?
Again, man, it's almost like you got to just go get at them and ask them, do they got any type of path for the future in their thoughts, or is it just they just lawless? They ain't got nothing that they
Are you talking about the police or the bippers or
I'm talking about the criminals.
Okay.
Because and then the other thing I should say about the police department is keep it real. We need more officers that's actually homegrown.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because officers who live in Walnut Creek or in Brentwood or you know what I'm saying? They just kind of come here and do their job and they go home. They're not, quote unquote, accountable to the neighborhoods.
Yeah, and they have no attachment is what you said.
Exactly. Like they don't have no uncle or auntie or, family member that's still connected to the neighborhood that they got to, try their best to play fair game with.
I mean, do a lot of people that grew up here, do you think a lot of people that grew up here would even want to be police officers?
Nah, I mean that wasn't how we was raised. But I think there is some of us that decide that that's the way they want to be. They want to be a full civilian. They ain't never wanted to be quote unquote street with the street cred. This is just kind of the path they wanted to go with. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're gonna get too many dudes that's gonna want to become one. They been already on the street side. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be hard to get that done. I just think if it was like youngster who been on some, going to school, being in school and, staying in a certain lane, you know what I mean? Some of them I think would want to do something like that. But, I hope to find one day that there is a space that whether we got to become police officers or we create even our own independent security, I just want to see us give an example that we realize that it's at an all-time low in our community. And it ain't always gonna be the police that's gonna solve it. We do got to figure out something ourselves.
So in a sense, you're saying that we got to police ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, so talk about gentrification a little bit, and how do you think that it did the city bad and did the city some good? Do you think gentrification did anything good for the city?
I mean, the city for a city to grow, it has to leave the door open for others to come in it. You know what I mean? So. In certain ways, let's face it, back in, if you would say some parts of the 90s, downtown was looking like a ghost town.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Buildings was really dried up. You know what I mean? It was looking ugly. But then in a certain way, you know, Silicon Valley kicked in, and, you know, other people from other areas, you know, started seeing the dope and uniqueness of Oakland that we realized that we wasn't taking advantage of.
Yeah.
Because let's keep it real. We gentrified our own selves out this motherfucker. Keep it real. On one level, we should have kept grandma's house, granddaddy's house. You know what I'm saying? We should have kept mama's house. We should have kept those businesses that we ran instead of selling it. Because let's face it, our generation, I think, was the last generation that was like post Martin Luther King and Marvin Gaye and all of that.
Yeah. We
start being the ones that want to be player and fly and cool. So we don't want to be in the restaurant with moms and pops running the restaurant. We didn't want to be in the mechanics, garage all day helping pops keep the mechanic stores, because that's what we used to have in the town. All of these businesses that we could patronize and do business with each other. But when that next generation kind of got too old to handle it, the next generation didn't pick it up.
So where do you think that what decade did you see the big transition take place, like in the 80s?
I say mid 80s, going into the 90s, like when that crack shit kicked in. Man.
I was just gonna ask you, do you think that?
Oh, for sure, 84. I felt I felt the immediate impact of crack, because even in the neighborhood I grew up in Serenity Park, it was still kind of family oriented. But when that crack kicked in, motherfuckers, that was your family and your homies and whatever, they was breaking in your house trying to take your TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I realized then that, we're in a different era.
How old were you when you first seen crack?
Around 10.
You knew exactly what it was?
Nah, I just knew that smell was different. Like,
yeah.
I smelled it when somebody was hitting it. And I was like, nah, that ain't me. And then I started looking at how they was reacting to it and how their life went down. It was like I kind of just watched them and they told me, this ain't it.
Yeah. Being from Oakland in the city of dope, did you ever have a hard time dibbling and dabbling, or did you ever experiment with the dope game?
Keep it G, I wasn't I went into the game like that. And it was kind of a trip, because a lot of people that I grew up with was fully in the game.
Yeah.
But they just knew I wasn't, keep it real, I wasn't, quote unquote, I wasn't built like that. I just wasn't built for the game like that. I wanted to do other things, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely wanted to get my respect. So, let's face it, I had to go through a lot more headaches because I decided not to do the D game thing. I got tested more. So I had to end up fighting some, and making sure players knew, I ain't gonna just let you do me.
Yeah,
knock your ass out and just get back to being a square or whatever you want to call me. But I'm gonna be a man. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I just definitely fought for my manhood. While in the town, it was either you was on some player pimp shit, or if you was robbing a motherfucker, you was grinding. You know what I'm saying? You was a bully. You know what I'm saying? You was something. You was a goon, just taking fools for their money.
Yeah.
That was kind of our, it was pick one. And I was like, nah, I'm cool with all of them. So I had to go up against all of them at least once.
That's right.
Yeah.
So pick a number 1 through 12.
Just a number 1 through 12?
Yeah.
5.
When you was in 5th grade, what did you think that you'd be doing today?
5th grade. Man, 5th grade, man. Keep it real, probably because I was hella big and whatever. So I think I was thinking a lot about sports probably during that time. Keep it real, around 85, because the crazy part about my life, all of my years was based on the year of that time. So when it was 85, I was in the 5th grade. When it was 86, I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 85, to be honest, one of the biggest things that I remember about 85 was probably Michael Jackson 25th anniversary when he did the moonwalk. For whatever reason, that's one of the biggest memories of 85, because I remember how the world changed in one day because he did that moonwalk.
Yeah. So who were some of your role models, man, when you was coming up? Like, what was your family structure? Single parent, what?
Yeah, mom's single parent home. You know what I'm saying? My grandfather was right there with us, but he wasn't always hands on. But you could watch the example of how he handled business, and I said, yeah, I want to be like that. I want to be able to handle all the family structure and handle the business of my family. So he had a dope example from that space. Honestly, I didn't have like no specific hero or person. It was just more like the neighborhood was dope, that we had OGs that was there for their family. And, that was just kind of one of my examples, that one day I want to be a husband that can take care of my building and take care of my family.
Dope. Now, I was going to ask you, did you go to Castlemont?
I went to Castlemont for 1 year.
Castlemont.
89.
Talk about the castle in 89.
Heavy. The castle was hard.
Did you go there in 9th grade or 12th grade?
I went in the 9th grade, 89 to from beginning to 89 to end of 89. But yeah, man, I was living at the time on 84th and Bancroft. And if those who know 84 and some more, it was 84.
Shit, I almost got killed on my bike on 82nd. So yeah.
Yeah,
it's wild over there.
It was a dangerous neighborhood, and I was just coming from living in Serenity Park. So again, I've always been put in these certain positions where, all right, man, I'll put you in this environment, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just been a testament of my life, that I've been put in a lot of different environments, and I had to figure it out. But yeah, 84 and some more is where I moved to, and so I went to Castlemont for a year, and yeah, man, it was crazy. It was just crazy. The castle was real hard in 89. You really had to figure out your identity up there. You know what I'm saying? And it was a part of, I played a little sports. I played for JV. I played some football. I was kind of on the chubby side at the time. I was playing tight end and a little bit of O-line. But again, man, keep it real, we was shooting dice, drinking 40s in the 9th grade, man, and just
English
running with the knuckleheads and not
smoking Grimmies too.
No, sir.
You Jimmy trying to sneak that one in?
Nah. We would keep it real. We was down there probably smoking half of Tampas or something, or you know what I'm saying, the strawberry booms, man. Like we was some knucklehead 9th graders, doing our thing, man. But overall, I think the castle was dope because it was again a neighborhood school. It was a lot of rich history there with people, but to be honest, it was hard knocks.
It was lean on me a little bit. It had some lean.
It was for sure. It wasn't no kinda. It was real deal lean on me.
Yeah, I went to Mac in 9th grade, so I felt it. You know what I'm saying? I felt it.
It's some. I mean, ain't nobody hood harder than mine, so to speak. But there were certain spots in the town that was super many. And I think one of them was definitely over there in the west, like Acorn.
Yeah, shout out to Acorn, the whole thing. Twofold, the bottoms. Yeah. Cypress, Morehouse. Come on now. 18th, 2-1. Come on now.
Man, when I was a youngster, I went up at Acorn Center one time.
Yeah, man.
Man, that shit felt so vicious. I was like, man, I'm glad I'm with the right ones, because it was hella shit going on around there. Just fools getting mobbed right next to you, fools getting robbed. It was just a lot going on in Acorn back in the day.
Well, I always say this, the difference between West Oakland, East Oakland, and North Oakland, right? Mm-hmm. East Oakland is like the city part of Oakland. West Oakland is like the country part of Oakland. Mm. North Oakland is kind of like the town part. It's not too slow like the country and not too fast like the city. East Oakland, you might see somebody way at Booker's, then later on you might see them in the Murder Dubs or at the Dollar Tree. Exactly. In West Oakland, people normally stay in a little area because in West Oakland, that's where the most projects are in Oakland. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And North Oakland is kind of like that too. And in a sense, it's almost kind of like one side. They go from 8th Street all the way to 60th Street, but with that divide in the 30s, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's crazy how the town is really that. It's a 15 probably 15 mile radius in the circle city.
Yeah,
and it's got so much diversity.
Yeah,
but like I said, I went to Castlemont for 1 year, and then I ended up at Skyline for 3.
How was that?
Skyline.
Was it cool? You liked it?
Skyline. Well, I had certain things that I extremely loved about Skyline, and then there was certain things it was like, all right.
You had to take that nigga shit back down the hill, huh?
Nah, because we had a bunch of transplants up there. Because, you know, we would all kind of sneak and get that address, you know what I mean? It was some that did that.
Well, can I rephrase that? Y'all had to take that nigga shit back down the hill.
Nah, but it was dope because it was us transplants.
I'm getting the mic.
It was us that was the transplants from the flatlands.
Yeah.
But then it was the ones that grew up straight up in those hills and they kind of like grew up all together. You know what I'm saying?
So you graduated in 92 to 3? 93?
So it was 92.
Okay.
92 is when I started going to Skyline. But it was like, the thing is that we had to learn how to mesh with those fools that really went to, you know, maybe like a private school before they got there, you know, elementary, and then another private school and middle school. So they had full parents, you know. Skyline had a full boosters club, so every class was, you know, there for us. You know what I'm saying? At Castlemont, it wasn't all the classes.
You on your own?
Yeah, not what I mean by that is we had theater. Yeah. You had wood. You had, you know, you just had various different kinds of classes that you could take. You know what I'm saying? And so the real was that you, again, had to realize that your cool wasn't beating people up, or your cool wasn't just clothes. You really had to start learning and being a part of the cool club of having some knowledge and being aware of what time it is that you need to get this education while you kicking it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think I got out of Skyline is that, yeah, we're going to kick it, but you got to graduate.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's dope.
And so to this day, you know, I definitely got friends in dope places from Castlemont, but I definitely know a lot of people from Skyline in different dope places in the world right now.
Dope. Now, speaking of this, dope, you've been doing these SoulBeat concerts.
Sure.
So talk about the Yuck Mouth, Loonies, Drew Down, a whole reunion, 3 Times Crazy. How did you pull that together?
I don't know. I mean, it was, for real, because it was, I mean, I think certain shit from the town is organic. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't even necessarily need to see each other every other day. But if it's something like for the town, I think people just realize, man, we gotta come together. I might not even fuck with you every day. Yeah. But it's for the town.
For the town today.
All right. We gonna do this. And so, you know, shout out to it started out basically with Yuck and Numb. Somehow me and Yuck was, you know, just back and forth, chopping it up, keeping in touch. I came on his platform a few times, and so me and him just kept vibing. But long story short, you know, the issues got bigger, and I mentioned it to him one day that, you know, Numb, shout out to Numb, he reached out to me one time on the inbox and was just like, man, I'm tired of this shit with this dude. I want to, you know, figure out what's going on. And then one night, basically at like 12 at night, I was like, man, fuck both of y'all, man. We need to get both y'all on the phone. Let's just talk this shit out.
Yeah.
And then Yuck was just like, man, put that nigga on the phone, man. And I was just like, cool, man. And it was just it was history, man. The first thing I said to them when they got on the 3, I was like, man, I commend y'all as men for even getting on this phone right now because y'all didn't have to do this shit.
That's right.
And so bottom line is, by the time the conversation was over, it was like, you know, nigga, you know, SoulBeat put both of us on, so we got to do this move. You know what I'm saying? On some real shit. It was literally sentimental, motherfucker.
Come on, man. That shit is legendary. Shout out to the motherfucking Loonies. You know what I'm saying?
Because they didn't have to do that shit. They really didn't. And I think just from there, it just started trickling. It was a trickle-down effect. And then somehow, you know, it was just like, man, what's up with the Loonies? I mean, with the 3 Times Crazy.
Yeah, how'd you get that?
Same type of shit, you know. Shout out to Keek. We got our dope personal relationship. Shout out to Adrian Man. Man, I've been knowing Adrian Man since, again, the Sobrani Park days in the early 80s. You know, I grew up with his sister, so me and him had a long-rooted relationship. You know, I tapped in with Bart. I was out of town one time. We ran into each other out of town, and we connected out of town. So it was just organic, man. Everybody, I had a certain type of relationship already that I can call them up and kind of, you know, pitch it to them and give them the reasons why they should do it and and also give them the reasons why. Because I mean, keep it real. I didn't pay these dudes a lot of money. I ain't gonna put that out there either. It was just I came together with enough pieces together that made it make sense for everybody.
Dope. And we can't forget about Drew. Man, Drew be rocking. Shout out to Drew.
Shout out, of course, Drew. And I mean, Drew being the OG of the whole clique, it was like it was mandatory that we had to put him in, man.
Man, you can't forget Drew.
We'll never do that.
Come on, man.
It was what I'm saying is what it was I was starting off with is that it was a certain part where everybody was showing up as grown men who might have had controversy with each other, and saying they wanted to get through that. So that was kind of like the first part of it. But then when it just started being the paraphernalia to the mob mindset, because again, shout out to T. Looney, you know what I mean? I started thinking about the whole crew and the whole entire movement, you know, and shout out, rest in peace to Eclipse as well. And so it just became hella organic that I wanted the whole paraphernalia to the mob damn near.
Was T. Looney there?
Nah, T. Looney didn't make it. I think he had something that came up, unfortunately, but he didn't make it. But he was definitely in the mix with us, trying to figure out the whole project.
Yeah, that would have been.
We did a dope interview with him. With shout out to G Biz with Camille. So he did a dope interview with Camille. So he had all intentions to.
Yeah, man, because that Pistol Blazing is one of my favorite joints. You know what I'm saying?
That was like one of the ones that was on my personal playlist that I gave him for sure. Yeah. I wanted them. But see, again, you got to realize these dudes ain't performed with each other in 15 years. So, you know, everybody that went through their lives and, you know, keep it real, everybody didn't remember all their songs. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's understandable if that ain't what they've been doing. You know what I mean? And so, bottom line is, it was just dope to have them all decide, all right, here go the list of songs that we got to rehearse, you know. And for like 2 weeks, man, we all just connected, and it was just dope. They came in like 2 to 3 days before the show, so you know we can get them to rehearse a little bit. You know, went shopping with them and did all of these press runs, and so it was just dope because everybody wanted to do it. Okay,
and talk about was it the first SoulBeat day last year?
Well, the first one for me. At the helm was 2020. So we did one actually at it was a restaurant over at called my brain freezing right now. The Busy Lady over in Jack London, and then last year we did the one you just talked about.
Okay, for sure. Now talk about this coming up, this SoulBeat concert with the legendary, marvelous C-Bo and Spice motherfucking One.
So again, man, shout out to Yuck. It was just something organic, man. And man, I don't know about you, but have you ever seen C-Bo do the Gas Chamber, for example? Do you remember the Gas Chamber?
Yeah, I remember Fishtailing in the Cut?
Man, you tell me. You're a hip-hop historian.
Fishtailing in the Cut.
Yeah, C-Bo, Fishtailing in the Cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, or Liquor Store. Oh, no, Liquor Store, here we
I ain't never seen him perform ever.
Exactly. That's what and that's what kind of had me kind of driven by, let's figure this out. But reached out to him. He was like, yo, man, I ain't been in the town in a long time. And then we started, keep real, me and my partner, shout out to Purple Ed. Yeah, Purple
Ant.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to Purple Ant.
Yeah, me and Purple Ant. We was back and forth talking about it, man. He was just like, Chuck, man, that might be a show though, and we need to do that. And one time we was together, we was knocking the C-Bo and Bring the Heat with C-Bo and Marvelous, and we was just in the zone. And it was just like, man, that's that old town. Like, that's the main thing I wanted to do with this concert series is just bring back that certain element of where we came from. And so, yeah, man, I just wanted to do it with, you know, Marvelous and C-Bo, and also shout out to Spice One, Chico in the house.
Yeah.
Chico gonna get up there and do his thing, man. You know, he a Bay legend, you know, rap, hip-hop legend, I should say.
You know, C-Bo, like, Oakland rappers or Oakland citizens, hip-hop fans, are very particular on who they like outside the Bay that's in California. C-Bo is one of them rappers that we accept as their own. Jacka, we love the Jacka like that too.
Right.
There's only like a handful of them.
Rest in peace, Jack.
Yeah, rest in peace to Jack. When it comes to like C-Bo and Spice One, they rap different, But when you hear them, you know that you're gonna get some good music on that gangster shit.
Right.
So yeah, you link that up, man. You link that up, man. Tell everybody what day it's gonna be.
November 19th. And it's dope because shout out to LaRussell, man. It's kind of almost like a collaboration day. He had something going on as a daytime party earlier that day. And shout out to his parents, man. We was at the West.
LaRussell, get the blood from Vallejo.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
He off the hook.
What? He hard.
Man, shout out to LaRussell. Go get that bag.
Go get that bag. But now, we both doing something on that same day. And I ran into him at the Westers One concert, and we met up, and, you know, it's going to be a dope time, man, because I plan on being at his event. He's saying if he got time, he's going to stay with ours. And, you know, shout out to his parents because they actually remember SoulBeat. And so it's just going to be an organic night, November 19th on Saturday.
So what are your big projections with SoulBeat now that you kind of revamping the whole network?
Well, the ultimate thing was to get a system in order that is new, but it definitely resembles what it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we want to tell a story of what it was before, which was a 24-hour Black-owned network, which means, you know, it was a variety of different shows and for 24 hours. See, again, the documentary is important. That's what we're working on right now because we got to give them a time period when, you know, iPhones didn't have video on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You couldn't play music on your phones. And we was basically the platform that, you know, managed to show the community what they needed to see, whether it was religion, whether it was politics, whether it was music.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you needed to, you know, work out with, you know, Jones' size, we was basically it. But now everybody got a phone and have their own platform, so to speak. But I want to get back to that method of network. So bottom line is that we developing our own in-house content, and we also want dope content to be on our platform.
So what was your favorite show that was actually on SoulBeat? Mine was True Solutions. I used to love True Solutions. Shout out to Yusef Bey.
Man, shout out to Yusef Bey. True Solutions was one of the first shows that really had me leave the channel right there, you know what I'm saying, for a whole hour. Because you remember, you know, SoulBeat, you kind of just remember when the commercials was coming on or you remember when the music videos would come on. It was only certain TV shows that you remembered. And True Solutions came on probably like at 8 o'clock on Sundays or something like that. And for that hour, I was glued to it. So keep it real. I used to like sometimes the late night movies he played, like he used to play Dolomite movies.
Yeah.
You know, keep it real. Even at the time when he was running it, shout out to Billy Jam. He was the first hip hop show host. He had a very technical savviness back then that sometimes wasn't always seen on SoulBeat. So his show stood out for me in terms of the production value. Yeah, I mean, you know, it really was about the personalities. I used to get a laugh out of, you know, Al Ballard with the Soul Showcase.
Yeah, the
You know
Gong Show.
Yeah, the Gong Show.
Yeah.
Like the Gong Show was crazy because you would see, you know, damn near hell of people that you know on there performing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I came from, I didn't have a specific show that I watched every week, but I knew that we had SoulBeat and something had to be on, so you had to turn it on. You know what I mean?
What about the documentary? You mentioned something earlier about the documentary. Why don't you touch on that a little bit?
I mean, you know, it's been long overdue. I've been speaking on it for a minute, but it takes time with projects like this. The bottom line is I feel like the documentary is going to really give a clear indication of what it is, why people, you know, to this day walk up to me with this when they see this logo and want to have a conversation with me. Again, LaRussell was one. You know, LaRussell didn't know about SoulBeat, but I walked up to him like, yo, what's up, LaRussell? You dope. I want to get to know you. He was like, oh, SoulBeat, okay, that's cool. And then when I turned it around and showed the logo to his parents, they wowed out. They started tripping. So it's like, for us OGs, it's just a fond memory of our existence and how our culture was very dominant at that time. Yeah. And so I just want to give that clear story to the youngsters. And then, you know, pass the torch to them. We don't want to just stay in OG lane forever with the platform. We want to tap in with what's going on today. But I want to just be able to say we created a bridge with this younger generation of how we can communicate. Just like how we was talking about earlier, you know, we need a platform where we can holler at the youngsters and let them be in the front with us and we build communication, man.
Dope. And I was gonna ask you this question before we burn up out of here, right? When you think about golden ages of hip hop and stuff like that, we all know that the 90s, like 90, maybe 2 to about 7 was a golden age for Bay Area hip hop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider the hyphy movement a golden age for us as well?
What I consider the golden age, I would consider it a breakthrough era in the culture of the Bay Area sound. It gave us some good music, but then it gave us some hard realities that we living with today. Of a certain level of us never stopped being hyphy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some of us never just outgrew it. It just became what they always gonna be. Some of us was like, okay, that was that moment. I was hyphy. I was wilding. I was sipping the syrup. I was popping the pill. I was thizzing. I was, with the stunner shades on. I was hella colors, and you know what I mean. Versus some people can never like let go of that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it was a dope moment when it was happening. I don't know if it's a golden era. Like, keep it real, a golden era was the 80s when it was like, it was fresh and brand new. So you had, you know what I'm saying, people like, for us, the Too Shorts of the world and, the MC Hammers of the world, like Dangerous Dames of the world, like they were showing that hip-hop can make money and be successful for us. So that's kind of like a golden era. And then the door got totally kicked in, I would say, between like 89 and 98 when they said that, Bay Area music sold over 20 million albums during that time period.
Damn.
So to me, that was like a golden era. Like, again, we had Too Short to Digital Underground to, they wasn't like rap, but you had the In Vogues and you know what I'm saying, you had the Digital Undergrounds, you had serious artists that were signed to major record labels. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, the 40 and Sick With It. So you had these, Bay Area, pioneers that was getting major record deals so that they can do distribution all over the country. So again, that was to me why that was a golden era. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not shitting on hyphy shit. I end up doing a BET special on hyphy week. You know what I'm saying? So it was. I wanted the culture of it to be remembered. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I just remember it as like a golden era.
Gotcha. And before we get out of here, tell everybody where this is gonna be at.
Again, the SoulBeat series with SIBO and Spice One special guest Marvelous is gonna be at the New Parish November 19th. Go to SoulBeatNetwork.com for your tickets, or go to Eventbrite. And also check us out on SoulBeat TV for, exclusive interviews with those artists and everything else we got coming on. Appreciate you for bringing me through, man.
Man, come on, man. For sure, Chuck. Now, I was going to ask you about the SoulBeat series. How often are you going to have these? Once every 3 months or something? Once every 2 months?
Well, put it like this. I plan on doing definitely like maybe 2 more, but 2023 about to be a big year because 2023 would have made SoulBeat 45. And also, I got this unique project coming up for hip-hop turning 50.
Okay.
Next year, hip-hop going to turn 50. And I think over here on the west side, we definitely need to have our story curated.
For sure, man. Well, thanks for coming out, Chuck, man. Tell everybody where they could find you at.
Again, SoulBeat TV on the gram and SoulBeatNetwork.com.
Well, thanks for coming out. I'm LD's, also known Lawrence One, for another episode of I Need to Know. And as usual, come on, you know what I want.
Sure.